state your name for the record?
Andrea Browning.
And could you spell your first name and your last name for the court reporter?
AndreaBrowning.
And Ms. Browning, what was your relationship with Jade Benning?
I was her stepmother by Miss Mom.
When did you become Jade's stepmom?
When I married her father in 2009.
And how old would Jade have been at that time?
11.
Had you met her before you actually married her father?
Yes.
And it's her father, Dennis Browning.
Correct.
Where were you living at the time that you met Jade and you and her father got married?
We were living in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
And did you continue to live there, or at some point did you move?
We moved in 2016 or 15, somewhere in that time frame.
Where did you move to?
Jacksonville and then Nashville.
And where was Jade living during that time?
Arkansas.
Did she come and visit, and did you guys see her regularly?
Yes, as often as we could. It was.
And you moved to the Nashville area. Were you working at that time?
Yes, I moved here to take a job.
And I guess during that time frame when Jade's kind of going through school, what does she do? Does she go on to college, or what does she do after high school?
Yeah, yes, college after high school.
Where did she go to school?
The culinary school is what you're asking about. I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Did she go to a culinary school?
Yes.
And did she graduate?
Yes.
And at some point, did Jade move to Nashville?
Yes.
And do you remember when that was?
January of 22, I guess. I'm sorry, the time frame is
January of 2022. Sound right?
yes.
Okay. And when she moved, did she have a job, or what was she doing?
Yes, she moved here and accepted a job as a chef.
And where was she working at?
Ernest.
And do you have a connection to Ernest?
Yes.
Is the, I guess, full name of the restaurant, was it Ernest Bar and Hideaway?
Correct.
And what's your connection with that restaurant?
My brother was a co-owner.
Can you describe, did you go to the restaurant, or how often did you see Jade once she moved back to the Nashville, or I guess the first time for her being in the Nashville area?
Right. Pretty regularly, just would stop in after work, see her, or just when I could get down there.
Did you spend time with her outside of going to the restaurant that she worked with?
Yes.
And does Jade have any siblings?
Yes.
And can you describe her siblings?
Our daughter Ava, and she's 7 now. She has Down syndrome. She's a beautiful little girl.
Did Jade spend time with her when she was here?
Absolutely.
And in February, I guess, where was Jade living initially before February of 2023, kind of the end of 2022?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Where was Jade living at the end of 2022?
At the apartment in Nashville.
Did she have a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom?
2-bedroom.
A 2-bedroom apartment at the end of the year before she moved?
No. Sorry, I forgot the dates. At the end of the year, she was still in her 1-bedroom.
Okay. And at some point at the beginning of 2023,
Right.
did she move?
Correct.
And did you go to that apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you describe, how did you find out that Jade was expecting and pregnant?
She told me.
Do you remember when?
Yes, it was just after Thanksgiving, 22, and she was at my house, and we were gonna help her fix something on her tire, like a hubcap or something, I think. We neither one knew what we were doing, so we were getting help from my father and also YouTube, and then we went inside, and both my parents were there as well, and she told us that she was going to have a baby.
And at that point, did she tell you anything about Blaise Taylor?
No.
And can you describe what was her demeanor like? How did she seem when she told you about it?
Just pretty matter of fact, and that she was good with it. You could tell, like, that it was just very short and quick and matter of fact.
And did she make any reference to if there was a father that was going to be involved?
No.
Had you ever heard that name, Blaise Taylor?
Not that I can recall.
And at some point, I guess after that date, did you continue to talk to Jade about the pregnancy?
Yes, for sure.
And can you describe kind of her demeanor when y'all would talk about it?
She was very getting prepared. She was just like, this is what's happening, this is what I'm going to do. She was doing all the things that a mother would do to prepare for a child.
And did she talk to you about her appointments that she would go to?
Yes.
Do you recall specifically on New Year's Eve? Did you see Jade on that day?
I did.
And can you describe what happened on New Year's Eve?
Her father and I drove to Nashville to meet up with her and hang out with her and bring in the new year. Just hang out and have a good time.
And did y'all take any photographs that night?
Yes.
I'm going to ask that the witness be handed a photo. Ms. Browning, do you recognize that photo?
I do.
And what is that a photo of?
Jade and her father and I.
And was that taken on New Year's Eve?
It was.
So that's December 31st of 2022?
Yes.
And at this time, I would ask that that be admitted as the next numbered exhibit, which I believe is number 2, and request permission to publish it for the jury.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Yes. Ms. Browning, can you just point out who the 3 people are in the photograph? You can touch the screen that's in front of you.
Yeah. Jade to the left.
If you touch the screen, it'll make a mark.
Okay. There's Jade and Dennis and myself.
Can you describe Jade's demeanor on that Christmas Eve?
New Year's Eve.
I'm sorry, New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I can. She was just really happy to be hanging out with everybody and happy that her dad was there to celebrate with us as well.
And that night, did Jade have anything to drink?
No.
Did you know of Jade to have anything to drink after she found out she was pregnant?
Not at all, because we just had celebrated Thanksgiving and she was not having a drink. And
Was
then
everyone-
just
was
after
everyone else
Thanksgiving.
having a drink?
Yes,
And did she not only not have anything, but not even have a sip?
correct.
And on that New Year's Eve when you were celebrating, did she say anything to you about Blaise Taylor?
No.
Kind of after New Year's Eve, that January, February, did you continue to see her on a regular basis?
For sure.
And specifically when she was moving into the new apartment?
Yes.
Did you talk to her about that?
Yes, we did.
And did you actually go to that apartment?
I did.
I'm going to ask the witness be handed a single photograph that's been shown to the defense counsel. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
And what is that a photograph of?
Jade standing in her kitchen, holding a pint of ice cream and a hand on her belly.
Your Honor, at this time I would ask to admit that photograph as the next numbered exhibit, which I believe is number 3.
okay.
And may I publish that to the jury?
All right.
Browning, do you recognize that image?
Yes.
And specifically, were you familiar with a camera that Jade would keep in her apartment?
Yes.
And can you circle that in that photograph?
Well, I sort of covered it up, sorry.
That's okay.
That's where it is.
And so that camera, is that where she normally kept it, kind of to the left of the stove?
Yes.
And in that time of February, in those last few weeks of Jade Benning's life, did you go to any appointments with her?
I did.
And can you describe that?
I met her at the OBGYN in Franklin and just sat with her in the waiting room until they called her back and went back with her. We saw a sonogram, I believe, one of the times I was with her.
Did you go to more than one appointment with her?
I want to say I did, but I'm not 100% certain. It's been a minute and forgot the details. I definitely remember being with her when we saw the sonogram, and I actually do think I was with her at more than one. Because one was in like the office where the doctor was with her, and then one was with the sonogram.
And did you know who her OBGYN was?
Yes,
And who was that?
Allison Mullally.
And did you also know Dr. Mullally?
Yes, she delivered our baby.
And you said that you specifically remember one appointment with a sonogram. Was there something kind of big about that appointment?
Just checking the anatomy and finding out
If it was a girl or a boy?
the gender, yes.
And you were with her at that appointment?
Correct.
Was anyone else there?
No.
And did she find out on that day?
Yeah,
And what was she having?
a girl.
Was there anything else that came up during that sonogram?
Yeah, I don't really remember all the specifics, but just some further testing. They were just going to check everything out, make sure everything was okay.
And did Jade have to go back for testing and another appointment?
Yeah.
And do you remember if you went to either of those with her?
I can't really recall.
Can you describe Jade's demeanor at the appointment on February 2nd when she found out that she was having a baby girl?
She was good with that. She was happy.
And did that demeanor change at all from that February 2nd date up until the last time that you saw her?
No.
When was the last time that you saw Jade before she was murdered?
I'd say less than a week before I'd stopped by Ernest and she was working. I don't know exactly how soon it was, but I'd say less than a week if I had to guess.
And can you describe her demeanor when you saw her then?
She was great, just busy working. She's a hard worker. She always was doing what she was supposed to do. She was popping over to say hey and back into the kitchen.
And at any point, did she talk to you about Blaise Taylor, or did you ever meet him?
I never met him. At some point she did mention him, but I don't remember a lot of details other than she was just, I believe she had said he had gotten back in touch with her. This was after January.
But you had not met him, is that correct?
Correct.
And had Jade said anything to you about him being kind of a permanent fixture?
No.
Can you describe, Ms. Browning, how were you notified about what happened on February 25th of 2023?
I was asleep and I had a bunch of missed calls, and then I figured out that she was on the way to the hospital or at the hospital, and I just jumped out of bed and drove to Nashville.
And when you got to the hospital, can you describe who was there and what was going on?
Yeah, I believe I was met by a social worker when I first got there. I can't really remember other than they brought me into a room and Nijaiha and Blaise were both in there. but the social worker helped me outside of the room for a few minutes just to tell me that things were heated,
That things were
intense, kind of, yeah.
heated? And did you know what he was referring to?
No.
Did you, I guess, what happened next after he kind of told you things were tense and heated?
He left us all in the room together, and I was just trying to get some information out of both of them, and it was a lot at one time to take in. So I ended up asking, just to speak to Nijaiha, because I knew that was Jade's best friend.
Do you remember anything that Blaise Taylor said?
Not specifically. He didn't say much.
Can you describe his demeanor?
Quiet.
Did you see him cry at any point?
No.
And kind of same questions about Nijaiha. Can you describe her demeanor?
Yeah, she was really worried. She was a little frantic, and we were both panicking at that point. But I was just trying to, talk to her and kind of ease her a little bit as best as I could, and also as well as just hear her version of what had happened.
And had you met Nijaiha Jackson before?
I knew that she was Jade's best friend, but we had tried to link up, and we didn't link up at that point. I think I might have when they were really little, but not since she had been living in Nashville. I hadn't seen her. We missed each other on a couple of dates, but yeah.
But you were aware of who she was?
For sure.
And her relationship with Jade?
Absolutely.
And did she tell you everything that she knew about what had happened that night?
Yes.
And did she specifically tell you about things she heard Jade say?
Yes.
And were you there? Was she telling other people at the hospital as well?
No, it was just me and her at that point.
Do you remember specifically everything that she said?
I don't.
Do you remember generally?
I do remember that she was saying that she was talking like.
You care to be heard on the objection? I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. She did tell you specific statements. Is that right?
Yeah.
And after she told you that, can you describe what happened next?
I was upset and I was worried too, but I was mostly just wanting to, at this point, see Jade. I don't really remember all of the interaction and the contact, but Nijaiha and I weren't together for too very long before I was allowed to go back and to where Jade was so I didn't get to have any thorough conversations really with Nijaiha, but I do remember her saying that.
And I'm not asking you specifically what she said.
Okay.
But she did tell you.
Yeah.
Can you describe when they took you back to see Jade?
It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know how to describe it. She had tubes in her mouth. She was shaking. The nurses seemed very worried, or like they were trying to kind of comfort me, but Jade it wasn't Jade,
Did they let you stay in the room for very long?
Yeah, it seemed like it. I don't know how long it was, but they were going to be moving her, so I was with her as long as I could be before they moved her.
And you said that she was shaking. Can you kind of describe that? Was she conscious?
No.
Did the shaking, did it appear to be involuntary?
Yes.
And can you describe that night? Did other people show up at the hospital?
Yeah, some of the people that she worked with showed up. People that she was friends with that were worried about her as well.
Do you remember their names specifically?
Yeah, Lauren and a girl that I forgot her name, but her nickname, she has a nickname that I can remember, but I don't remember her real. Natalie, I think, is her real name.
And at any point, did you ask them to do anything related to Jade in her apartment?
No, did I ask? We were just concerned about it being unsecured. I don't recall asking them to do anything specifically. We were trying to find out what we should do because she needed her identification. I believe there was a candle burning in the apartment. We were worried about Jade's belongings and her having access to the things that she needed.
And at some point, did Natalie and Lauren leave the hospital and then come back?
Yes. Or I don't know if they came back or not. I don't remember all that.
Okay. Did you ever receive anything of Jade's?
Me personally, no.
And did you have any other?
If I did, I don't recall. So it's been a while, and it was a high stress, and I don't really remember all the details of that.
Absolutely. Did you see Blaise Taylor again from that first interaction when he was in the room with Nijaiha?
No, I saw him in the hall briefly, but that was it.
Did he say anything to you?
No.
And at that point, can you describe his demeanor? How was he acting?
He's just pacing a little bit. He was on the phone. That's all I can remember.
And in those days that followed from February 25th until March 6th, did you spend a lot of time at Vanderbilt Hospital?
Yes.
And can you describe who else was at the hospital during those days?
Yeah, both all of her parents and friends. A lot of friends, and that she wasn't able to have visitors, so like the people that could just go in the room were close family and close friends.
Did you ever see Blaise Taylor again?
No.
And since that night of February 25th, those days when Jade was in the hospital, did you see Nijaiha Jackson?
Yes.
And can you describe how much was she there?
Constantly.
And have you continued to interact with Nijaiha Jackson from that day of March 6th, 2023?
Yeah.
And can you describe what happened on March 6th?
Well, we had brought her some cupcakes and some balloons and some flowers, and because that's her birthday, and close family and close friends were there in the room the entire day until then to the machine.
And you said that you've continued to talk to Miss Jackson since that day
Yeah.
when Jade was taken off life support.
Yeah.
Do you have any reason to believe that Miss Jackson would harm Jade Benning?
No.
Just one moment.
Thank you, Ms. Browning. I don't have any
Or
more questions.
questions on behalf of the defendant?
Good morning, Ms. Browning.
Good morning.
So I think I heard this correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but Jade, Ms. Benning, she moved to Nashville around January 2022, so a little more than a year before this incident.
Yeah.
And you lived here a good bit longer than that, is that right?
Yeah. I moved back here in 2016.
2016, okay. So before that, Jade lived in Arkansas, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know where she lived before this?
And not specifically.
You don't know?
I know that she was in Northwest Arkansas. I think it was Brightwater was the name of the culinary school.
So she was at school before she moved to Nashville?
Yeah, and then I don't know who she lived with after that during COVID, and I don't know specifically about her exact location of where she lived. I know that it was in Arkansas.
Okay. So when she moved to town, you guys developed a bit of a relationship, is that correct?
We'd always had a relationship. We got closer as I got to spend more time with her.
Sure, so you got closer when she moved to town, right?
That's correct.
But before that, you had some relationship, but you're not that close. Is that fair?
We're close. We're family.
But you didn't know what city she lived in before she moved to town. Is that correct?
That part was irrelevant to me. I knew that I could get to her when we needed to.
I got you, but that's correct. You didn't know what city she lived in before she moved to town.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
She's grown. Yeah.
She's grown. You didn't know who any of her roommates were, right?
That's correct.
So when she moves to town, did she have a roommate or did she live alone?
Alone.
She lived alone. Okay. Were you familiar with any of the people that she was dating or seeing when she moved to town?
No.
So Nijaiha Jackson doesn't move to town until August, right?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Sure.
Sometime after Jade moves to town, right?
Correct.
So there's about 9 months when she's here, kind of establishing herself, getting her bearings, right?
Okay. Sure.
Does that sound about right?
That's correct.
Okay. How often are you seeing her during that time period?
Probably at least every other week or every couple of weeks, depending on depending on both of our schedules.
Sure. Okay.
So frequently.
Yeah, like a family relationship. You're seeing her every few weeks, but not every single day, right?
Correct. We talked more than we saw each other.
I got you. You indicated that when you saw her at Thanksgiving and you saw her at Christmas, she wasn't drinking. You didn't see her even have a sip, right?
That's true.
This time before November, did she drink?
I never saw her drink.
You never saw her drink. Okay. Do you know if she drank?
Yeah.
So she drank, but she never drank around you.
No.
No, she didn't drink around you.
Correct.
Okay. But to your knowledge, she did drink.
Correct.
And you just don't know how much.
That is correct.
Do you know if she did drugs?
I don't know.
She certainly did do drugs around you, right?
Correct.
But you don't know if she did drugs.
I don't know.
And you're seeing her maybe once every other week, so she potentially does things on her own time, right? She's an adult. Is that fair?
She's an adult.
Okay. And we sort of mentioned you hadn't met any people that she was dating in this time that she's in Nashville. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so the name Des doesn't ring a bell to you.
It doesn't.
The name Renee doesn't ring a bell to you.
No.
The name Walt doesn't ring a bell to
Objection,
you.
Your Honor, she's asked and answered.
Okay, she said she didn't know anything about any
Okay.
date.
And there had been you and her had not discussed her relationship with Mr. Taylor really hardly at all. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You were aware that at some point around New Year's or after, they had started having some involvement again, right?
Yes.
You just are not aware of the extent of that?
Correct.
I want to talk to you a little bit about this night, February 25th, 2023, okay?
All right.
Who did you receive a call from notifying you that Jade was on the way to the hospital?
Both her mother and her father.
Her mother and father.
Correct.
Do you know about what time you received those calls?
No, I know it was late-ish, like not too late, like 10-ish, or maybe a little before. I don't know exactly.
Okay. You said you had to come to Nashville.
Yeah.
About, no, I don't, obviously we don't want to know exactly where you live, but about how long did it take you to get from your house to the hospital?
About 25, 30 minutes.
25 minutes. Do you know about when you arrived at the hospital?
No, not without looking.
Do you think you got there before midnight?
Probably.
You think you got there before 11?
I'm not. Probably.
By the time you got there, were police officers already there?
No.
So you got there sometime after Jade, but before police had arrived.
I believe that's correct.
And some of your initial interactions, if I'm understanding, were a conversation with Nijaiha and Mr. Taylor and a social worker. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Were you guys all in a room together? Were you in a hallway? Where was this interaction?
A room.
It was in a room.
Correct.
And you described that interaction as tense.
No, it was just tense when the social worker wasn't in there.
So the three of you were alone in there.
Correct.
When the social worker was there, it was a little calmer.
I don't think that he ever went into the room with us. I don't remember him going into the room with us. He was just trying to prepare me for what I was going into a room with.
Oh, so you spoke to the social worker in like the hallway?
Like right outside of the room, I believe. I don't remember the exact specific details of every conversation and interaction, but I don't recall if the social worker came in with us or not, but I feel like he just left us at the door, but he did leave us alone.
I understand, and it is tough sometimes to remember exact details. So before you go into this room, you talk to the social worker. Were Mr. Taylor and Nijaiha Jackson in that room alone?
I believe so. I don't know because I wasn't there. I don't know.
That's maybe the best of your recollection?
I don't know if they were alone. I don't know if he left them alone.
But at some point, you and Miss Jackson and Mr. Taylor were in that room alone together.
Yeah, so it was very brief.
And that's the interaction that you described as tense.
It was.
And while I don't want exactly what was, not going to ask you about exactly what was said, is that the first time you heard anything that resembled an accusation made of Mr. Taylor?
As far as I can remember, yeah.
At some point after that interaction, did law enforcement arrive at the hospital?
Yes.
And you stayed at the hospital
Overnight.
all overnight. And you spoke to law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
And was it your understanding or impression that law enforcement was kind of speaking to everybody that night?
Yeah.
And obviously they were taking the situation very seriously. Right?
Correct.
Do you know about what time Lauren Weber and her friend Natalie showed up?
I don't.
Did you see them?
Yeah, briefly.
Do you know if when you saw them was before or after they went to?
I don't recall.
Do you know if when you saw them at the hospital was before or after law enforcement had shown up at the hospital?
I don't recall those details. It seemed like it was all pretty much at the same time almost. I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if at any point in time you were involved in any discussion with law enforcement about, hey, if we want to go back to the apartment and get an ID, get a purse, get keys, blow out a candle, the things that you mentioned, what's the best way to do it? Is someone from law enforcement available? Should we just go back and do it? How should we do that?
Can you ask that again?
He's asking, did you have any discussion with law enforcement about the apartment?
I believe. I think that her mom was on the phone. I don't remember all the details. We were all very upset, and
Sure. I'm really wondering if you remember if you were involved in any of those in that conversation.
I don't remember that specifically. I remember talking to them about it, and I don't remember what order things happened in and who was telling us what, you know.
So far as you're aware, law enforcement did not go back with Lauren Weber or Natalie to the apartment.
I'm not certain about that.
Do you know how you know that there was a candle burning in the apartment?
I don't know what. Somebody had said something about that, maybe Nijaiha,
Okay.
because she had been by there. I don't know. I don't remember.
So your impression is that maybe Nijaiha had been by there?
Well, earlier in the evening, she was there.
After that night, February 25th, and I know a lot happened that night, the next day, and the following 9 days. Were you pretty involved with the rest of the family in the next 9 days?
For sure. Yeah.
Was it your impression that Mr. Taylor was a welcome part of Jade Benning's family during those next 9 days?
No.
Was it your impression that Mr. Taylor would have been welcome at the hospital by Miss Benning's family if he had showed up there?
Probably not.
Was it your impression, or were you involved in any specific discussions about specifically not allowing Mr. Taylor to come to the hospital?
Was I involved in him not being allowed to come?
Yes.
I wasn't involved. I was told
That he
that,
was not allowed?
I guess, I don't remember exactly what the exact terms were, like, he wasn't to come into Jade's room.
He was not to come to Jade's room, possibly not to come to the hospital to visit her at all?
I'm not certain what the restrictions were.
But that's your impression, that was the family's wishes?
Right.
So there was some questioning while you on direct by the state's attorney that you were at the hospital, the family was at the hospital, right? Is that correct?
Right.
Nijaiha came to visit her at the hospital,
Right.
right? But Mr. Taylor never came to visit her.
He did not.
He did not. But in fact, he may not have been allowed to visit her. Is that correct?
Potentially.
Even if he had wanted to.
I don't know what he wanted. I don't know.
But the family certainly did not want him around, correct?
Right.
And at that point, Jade was unconscious, right?
Correct.
Here, if I can just. Do you remember having a conversation at the hospital with Officer Fish? I think you were on an upstairs little alcove in the hospital.
I do remember having a conversation with an officer, but I don't remember their name.
Sure. Do you remember as part of that conversation being advised that nobody should go in or out of that apartment?
I don't know what time all these things took place that you're referring to, so
Sure. Miss Burks was on the phone during that conversation. You called her, it was on speakerphone. Remember that conversation?
I do.
And you remember the officer, law enforcement, telling you all that nobody should go in and out of the apartment?
I don't remember all of that specifically, but I do remember being on the phone with her and an officer being present.
And you remember the officer telling you nobody should go in and out of the apartment?
Objection, Your Honor, it's not possible answer.
Okay, can you answer it definitively whether you recall that or not?
I don't recall a lot of things from that night. I was
He's asking
very
about the
distressed.
conversation about don't go into the apartment.
Yeah,
You recall that?
yeah. I don't remember specifically somebody telling me not to go into an apartment. I don't remember the extent of that conversation.
Okay. I know this is confusing, and I know that there's a lot
Yeah.
that you don't recall.
Yeah, the timeline is very,
I'm not worried about the timeline. I don't need times. We're just talking about one conversation. Don't worry about times for a minute, okay? Do you remember in that conversation, which I think you remember, with the officer upstairs, Bridget was on the phone, that the officer said, nobody in, nobody out? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
I
Thank you.
remember.